Hello everyone, it's Dio from Firm But Fair Gaming, bringing you another Diablo 3 video. Welcome everyone to another Season 25 video here for Diablo 3. So we're going to be taking a look at the In a Monk again. So we had a build guide that was put out a few days ago, and then some feedback came in where we're looking at a more thorough explanation of the rotation and kind of the gameplay strategy that you want to use with the In a Monk. So I thought I'd just take a look at that and break it down for you guys. So personally, I have only got the 148 solo so far, so I'm still chasing the 150, but I will just go through what I do when I'm going into the Rift and what kind of the strategy that I employ. So basically, I am running the Augilds set, so for the increased damage against elites and the damage reduction, and I'm using the Shenlongs, and then I'm using the Endless Walk. So there's a few things that I have to watch for, and of course I'm using the Convention of Elements. So basically, my damage spike is based around being able to use Mystic Ally with the Fire Ally rune. This is my only damage window. So basically, I'm waiting for my Convention of Elements to go through and get into fire. And then I will be casting the Mystic Ally when I am fire. I also want to try to be stationary to get my 100 stack bonus here from the Traveler's Pledge when you're stationary to deal increased damage. And then I also want to be into Shenlongs as well. So as you can see here, my spirit is generating, and when it reaches max, then I'm going to get the Shenlongs buff for the increased 350% damage. And right before, so once I get all those lined up and going into fire, I'll cast Cyclone Strike because of my Bindings of the Lesser Gods. Enemies hit, take up to 200% increased damage, and from my Mystic Allies, and so then I would pop all that all at once. So to show it in action, I just recorded a 140 just moments ago. We'll take you through that and you can see what it looks like while it's in action. Okay, let's jump into a 140 and see how we do here. So basically when you come in, like if you notice the Convention of Elements is already pretty much into fire. Like when I came in, it started cold. So you can do one of two things. You can either scout and just let it go, or you can try to do a quick grouping and use it right away. But you are most likely not going to get into Shenlongs. So the damage is going to be quite minimal. So instead I would use that first little bit to go find an elite. And then because really we're an elite killing spec and that's what we want to do. So we want to find that. So I just did my first rotation there. It just happens that here it's a pretty dangerous group that I'm fighting. So here I'll speak more to what we actually want to do. So we're about into cold, so I want to try to get set up and get ready to use fire. Now I'm going to jump into fire and I set it off there. Not much happened there because there's a lot of trash. So it didn't actually hit any elites. So basically after I pop my stuff, I retreat a little bit. And start to work on building my spirit again because I want to get into Shenlongs when I hit about cold. And then when I'm in cold, I want to use Ascension so that I'm invulnerable and can just stand there and take damage, building my stacks from the Endless Walk. And then when I get into the fire, I want to pop Cyclone and then I want to blow up my fire spirits. So here we go again. We're into our physical. So I'm going to move forward. Now in the cold, I'm trying to build my spirit. I hit Shenlongs. Now I'm going to Cyclone and then pop fire spirits, and it's going to deal the mass amounts of damage. So that's basically what we want to do. Sometimes you can keep Shenlongs a little too long. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that my Shenlongs is expired in about the lightning phase of my Convention of Elements. And then I want to start attacking and pump it up. And then when I get into the cold, I want to use Ascension. And then I'm going to Cyclone right before entering my fire. And then as soon as I hit fire, then I'm going to use Mystic Ally. So here we had a shielding pylon, so we're just kind of doing what we do. So we just entered fire, we cycloned, and then we used Mystic Ally, and we just blew up that elite. So it's actually very strong, and there's a couple, there's one other trick that you can do. Here, this there's a Juggernaut that I end up fighting in a little bit, where it's, so basically what you can do is when you pop the fire, and you pop it and potentially the Oculus Ring is going to spawn. And then you can actually, if you still have a dashing strike, you can dash into it. And if not all of your Mystic Allies have hit, any remaining ones that haven't hit, it seems like they benefit from being in the Oculus Ring and deal more damage. So what you can try to do is when you enter it, you can try to save one of your strikes and dive into the Oculus Ring before all your fire spirits hit and try to get the bonus damage from that. So again, we're in physical, we just built up, we got Shenlongs, we're keeping it, popping Ascension to keep our immunity for our Endless Walk, Cycloned into our fire spirits and did some fair bit of damage there. Now I'm just going to scout ahead because that was a conduit, so I want to make the most use of it. So actually doing fairly well here. So when I have the conduit, I still want to try to make sure to use the rotation as normal. So there a little bit might not have set it up as well as I would have liked to. So I may not have had as much of the Endless Walk near 100, but ultimately, so here we're actually going to run into a bit of issues. So I'm in physical and I just ran out of Shenlongs. So now when I go into fire here, we actually didn't get, well, actually, we got lucky where we got to get back into Shenlongs, but it was potential there where that might have been wasted and we may not have had the big burst. So generally, like I said, I wanted to make sure that I'm only entering Shenlongs around the time that I'm entering physical, because you can keep it up through cold and into fire so that when you pop it, you just can blow everything up. There's one other thing that you can pay attention to. So in the middle, we have from our Dreg of Lies, we have the buff that every half second, whenever pets are attacked, we get a stack that when it gets to 100, like it's a bonus from pet damage, but as soon as it hits 100, it depletes all the way down. So I'm also trying to watch that to make sure that I'm having as close to 100 stacks as possible for when I enter fire. It's not the easiest to manage. So here, for instance, like when I popped it, I was only at 13. So sometimes when I'll be running around, I won't actually be attacking anything because so here I'm stuck at 32, now I'm at 33. I'm slowly trying to build that. So by the time I get into my physical and I start attacking, like now I'm up to 50 in my cold, I'm trying to get it to as high as possible. So I jumped it to 70 there when I blew those up. So I'm trying to manage that and try not to get my spirits to attack too much so that I can control that buff and get it as high as possible, because you want, like when it's you can definitely notice the difference between having it above 70% and below like 30%. So I try to keep that as high as possible. It's a little bit tougher to manage sometimes. But when you get into the higher rifts, or at least for me personally, I felt I noticed a big difference between that gem and the one where you deal 25% less damage and your pets deal 25% more. It just felt better. And I said legendary gem, but I meant the soul shard in the weapon. So here we're just going through. So I'm into, oh, so I just died there. I forgot that happened, but this actually shows you what you can do. So when you die, it is potential that your fire is going to be off cycle. So I actually could have got it back there, but I was nervous that it wouldn't line back up with my COE. So you need to have enough cooldown. It's 20 seconds on the ring because there's the 5 elements that it goes through. So you need to have enough cooldown where the Mystic Ally is less than 20 seconds, so it's back up for every time you enter fire. So if you happen to die, just watch for that, make sure that it's going to line up. You're better off to let it fall off, or like miss a cycle of fire and just get it resync back up, because of course using Mystic Ally outside of the fire window is moot. There's no point. It's terrible damage, so you don't even need to worry about it. The other thing that, as you can see right there, I popped, maybe I'll just back it up a few seconds here. So here I'm going to come in and I'm in physical, I'm about to go into fire. And here I'm going to go into fire, and if you notice, like nothing happened. Nothing really happened. Nobody really took damage. The fire spirits hit a few of the trash, but not really the champ pack here that I was trying to target. I've noticed that when you're tight to walls and doorways and that sort of thing, it doesn't work very well. Try to get whatever you're attacking and you want to blow up a little bit out into the open. It seems to work much better. Also, the AoE, I believe, damage might be better for that, because they might hit walls, or just trash or whatever won't be in the correct, like won't be able to be targeted by the damage. So here I could about enter and I just trying to spawn the Guardian. But it's basically the same thing whether you're fighting Trash or the Guardian. You want to... I have a power here, so I believe I one-shot it. Although if you look at this, it's quite terrible. I hate this map for that. The boss spawns on the exact other side, so you're trying to get it to warp. But here you want to do the exact same thing. You want to enter your cold, you want to pop Ascension, stack your Endless Walk, Cyclone, and then pop the Mystic Ally and do your max damage. It's the same rotation whether you're on the Trash or Champ Packs or... Oh, how about we turn that off? Or just whatever you're fighting. It's the same rotation regardless. So again, just to recap, what you want to do is you want to make sure that around the, I'm just hovering over the convention of elements, so just to show people here, I'm going to let it cycle through. So because we need Shenlongs, we want to make sure that we have Shenlongs. So of course it goes holy, and it goes like lightning. So around lightning, I want to exit Shenlongs, and then in physical, I want to start building back up my spirit. And then cold, I want to pop my Serenity with Ascension here. I kept calling it Ascension, but Serenity. And then in fire, I want to Cyclone, and then pop my Mystic Ally, and that is going to be my huge burst damage there. So you want to be into Shenlongs, you want to be as close to 100% as possible from the Endless Walk, and then you want to pop the Cyclone, and then your Mystic Ally, and watch everything blow up. One thing I wanted to cover, or just recover again before ending the video, is so here, I just back in that run I did on the 140, this is a Juggernaut that I've spawned out of the shield pylon. So it's like Thunderstorm, Desecrate, Reflect Damage, Juggernaut. And so I touched on a little bit about the trick about popping the Oculus Ring and then diving into it. So there, that was the first shot on it. I did about 33% damage. And so I just want to show here. So again, I'm setting up. So I'm in the physical. I'm building my Shenlongs in the cold. So I've got my shield up and about ready. And so it's just about to pop. I don't even have the bonus from my soul shard off my weapon. It's not here. It just had actually ticked down. So it's at 0. So I just got my Endless Walk and cold. And I'm about to jump in here and pop it. So I popped the Mystic Ally. So it's been popped. There's the Oculus Ring. I'm going to try to dive into it. And so it's actually able to enter it. And so you can just see here I have a 3,000 trillion hit. But it just basically one-shot that Juggernaut. That was a Juggernaut. So of course Juggernauts we can't affect with the Bane of the Trap because they can't be impaired and whatnot. So the amount of damage that you can get from if you're able to dive into that is pretty phenomenal. It's a little bit tricky to do, but I try to save a dash so you can try dash into that to get that just because the extra bonus damage is. So that brings us to the end of the rotation guide and kind of like the play style that you, or at least that I use for the Monk and the Innis set here. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know below. I'd be happy to answer any of those for you. And as always, we appreciate any likes, subscribes, and shares. We enjoy making these videos for you guys. If you have any feedback of videos you want to see, let us know. Like this one came from feedback from you guys. So let us know what you want to see. If you have any questions, we're happy to make more videos to answer those. I hope you enjoyed the video, and good luck with your pushing. It's pretty insane.